To an hour, so get comfortable. Now, first things first, as you enter the tram, please move all the way down to the right-hand side, filling in all available seats. And if you have any small humans whose feet don't touch the ground, please make sure they're in the center of the row. And last but not least, we have many parts of our tour that are presented in 3D. So if you don't have a pair of 3D glasses, wave your hands in the air, wave them around like you just need a pair, and our studio tour ambassadors will get some over to you. I know we're also home to Never Have I Ever in the Peacock original series Bel Air. But first things first, I had to introduce you to our driver, Jonathan. It would be crazy if I was driving in this direction. Everybody say hi, Jonathan. Great. And we also have a co-star. You might know him from SNL or as the host of NBC's The Tonight Show, Mr. Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, hey there. You made it. Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You've got the very best guide.
Hadia.
And the greatest driver.
Jonathan.
They're the best. I love them. Even though
Hadia
owes me $5.
What?
I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
That's right, Jimmy. We do have some safety rules. First, if you need guest assistance or have a medical emergency, or if you drop something of value off the side of the tram or have any sound or video issues, reach up and grab that red E-cord that runs along the center of the ceiling of the tram, and I will be back to assist you as soon as it is safe to do so. Otherwise, during the entire tour, please stay seated and keep your arms and legs in the vehicle at all times. And remember to use that red cord above your head if you need any assistance. The studio is private property, and if at any time during the tour you drop your phone or you just can't wait to use the restroom, pull that cord and remain seated. But please, no smoking of any kind during the tour. And be prepared, our tour today features loud noises, sudden tram movements, fire effects, and many water effects. And you'll want to have your cameras out for great photo opportunities, but keep an eye on them so they don't get wet. And finally, for your safety and those around you, please do not use selfie sticks while you are on board. Now we're saying goodbye to our theme park and hello to our busy production studio where we make commercials, television shows, reality shows, and of course, movies. But our most important day was our opening day of March 15, 1915, because that's the day that our founder, Mr. Carl Laemmle, opened up the gates to Universal City to the public. He deemed it the strangest city in the world, and that's because we are an actual city. We have our own sheriff station, our own medical services, our own zip code, and honorary mayor. And if you look to your right-hand side, we even have our own fire station. That's Fire Station 51. Those are real fire trucks driven by real firefighters. Say hello, everybody. Hello. They're not animatronics like me. I'm not real. Now, our first stop on our tour is the front lot. And the front lot is where we do all of our behind-the-scenes work, like our script writing, our casting, our costume making, our prop making. Anything you can think of that happens before a movie or television show is made, we do it here on the front lot. And because of streaming, Hollywood is demanding more and more of these spaces. So on the left-hand side, in just a moment, you'll see some of the construction. We're adding more office spaces, cafeterias, more costume shops and things like that. But our front lot is also where we have a majority of our 42 sound stages, like Soundstage 12 on the left-hand side. Now, in our early days of Universal Studios, we filmed silent film, so we didn't need to worry about sound pollution. So we filmed on an open-air stage that was surrounded by signs because we used the sunlight to light our movies. But then once we began filming with sound, we needed to have more control over our environment. So we started filming on sound stages, which are a 98% soundproof warehouse, and we film 80 to 90% of our productions on a sound stage. But our front lot isn't the only thing that's expanding. We're very excited to announce that in early 2023, Super Nintendo World is coming to Universal Studios Hollywood. And if you would like any more information on that, you can head to our social media pages or our website. Now, these stages on the left-hand side are home to the Peacock original series Bel Air, starring Jabari Banks and created by Morgan Cooper. Bel Air is a dramatic retelling of the 90s hit sitcom Fresh Prince of Bel Air. And these next two stages here were most recently home to season 2 of the HBO Max original series Hacks, starring Emmy Award winner Jean Smart. And Hacks actually just got picked up for a 3rd season, so hopefully they'll come back and film with us here. Well, we're going to turn the corner now, and the stage on the left-hand side that we're going to see is stage 14, also home to Peacock's Bel Air. This stage is also one of our oldest and largest sound stages, and it's also our first special effects sound stage. On this sound stage, we use a technique that's called rear view projection. It was developed in the 1930s, and it's when you have a car on the stage surrounded by screens, you can see where the car is passing. It kind of looks like how I look on the screen right now. But this is also one of our 9 sound stages that we can remove the floor out of and fill with water. And this is the stage that we turned into Mission Control for Apollo 13. We've turned it into the Grinch's lair for How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And if you like Jurassic Park, this is where we built the tree that the kids were in when they were sneezed on by the Brachiosaurus. Now, I also mentioned that Universal City is an actual city, and so we name all of our streets here. And the street coming up on our right-hand side is called Nat King Cole Avenue. It's named after the first black man to have his own nationally syndicated television show, the Nat King Cole Show in 1956. And that's a fitting name for that street because we are entering our television stage area. Now, these television stages have been home to shows like Martin, The Jeffersons, Dragnet, Quantum Leap, The Munsters, Leave It to Beaver, The $6 Million Man, and The Bionic Woman. And they're currently home to the Quantum Leap reboot and Netflix's Never Have I Ever, starring Maitreyi Ramakrishnan and Purna Jagannathan. And Netflix's Never Have I Ever was created by Mindy Kaling and Lang Fisher. Now on the left-hand side here, we have our Never Have I Ever base camp. This is where all the actors have their trailers, and that's where the hair and makeup and costume trailers are. And this is where the actors will report to work before heading over to the soundstage, like Soundstage 19 on our right-hand side, which is the current home to the Quantum Leap reboot. Oh, and it looks like we have a celebrity sighting here on our left-hand side. That's Ted the teddy bear. He's toasting us with the dirtiest martini I've ever seen in my life, and that's because he is celebrating getting his very own television show. It's going to be a prequel to the movies, and it's filming right here on our lot. And from the 1920s to the 1950s, we actually contracted out all of our actors and our directors. And that just meant that while they were under contract, they could only produce film and television shows for Universal Studios. And so we had to give them a home away from home since they were going to be spending so much time here. And that's what these buildings on the left-hand side were. These were apartments for all of our contracted players. But once we stopped contracting out our actors and our directors, we needed to find a use for these buildings. So we turned them into production bungalows. Some of the production companies we have here are Dwayne Johnson's 7 Buck Productions. We have Jordan Peele from Monkey Paw Productions, Elizabeth Banks Brownstone Productions, and even Amy Pascal of Pascal Pictures. They produce all of the Spider-Man films. And our most famous bungalow is coming up on the left-hand side. That's Bungalow 5195. And you might recognize that silhouette on the side. And that's because it belonged to Sir Alfred Hitchcock. It now currently belongs to the De Laurentiis Company. They brought Hannibal Lecter to the large and small screens, and they most recently produced the Firestarter remake starring Zac Efron, which is now streaming on Peacock.
We all do a little match sometimes. She looked
But we're going to say goodbye to our front lot where we do all of our behind-the-scenes work and our interior filming. And we're going to say hello to our back lot where we're going to be spending the rest of our tour today. Here on the back lot, we have all of our larger-than-life sets that we can turn into pretty much anywhere that we can imagine. So the back lot here is, the world is right around the corner. Now up first, we have our Metropolitan Sets. On the left-hand side, you'll get a glimpse of New York Street. New York Street can be turned into any large city in the world, and that's because it has its own financial district, its own theater district, and even its own Macy's. But my friend Jimmy Fallon is right at home here, so I'll let him tell you about it.
Hey everyone, welcome to New York! I got my start right here in New York on Saturday Night Live. This is actually my old neighborhood. Once got mugged over there by an old woman, tough lady. This is my favorite hot dog guy. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Remember me? No. Just like old times. Gotta love New York City.
Hey, I'm walking here.
It's cool, guys. I was just walking there. So it's not exactly New York, but a lot of times when you see New York in the movies, it was shot right here on the Universal Metro sets. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Even if you make it here on the Universal lot.
And that's true. We can make it anywhere here because our backlot is made up of facades and practical sets. A facade is just a French word for false front, and a practical set is any building that you can film on the inside and outside of. So we have plenty of those here on our backlot. We've even turned New York Street into the obstacle course for NBC's American Ninja Warrior. This area that we're entering now is known as London Square, and it's perfect for any small European scene that you might need. You can film a royal wedding here. But it's not just Europe that we turned this area into. We've turned it into India for the Mindy project starring Mindy Kaling. And this wall on our left-hand side is called a trompe-l'oeil, and that's a French word that just means false front. Now, to us, with our two eyes and our depth perception, this just looks like any old, ordinary painted wall. But to a camera which only has one eye and no depth perception, it actually looks like a backdrop. We've used it in television shows like the reboot of the Will and Grace series.
We've all had our share of humdingers. Me included. One time I took a drink that said Lisa on it from my coffee place. I know my name's not Lisa.
You are a bad girl. Stop the tram!
Now, another reason that we would film here on our lot instead of going to London or New York is because we can do anything we want to our sets. We can blow them up, set them on fire, crash planes into them, destroy them with a twister. And those are just a few examples of what we've done here. So New York has been turned into London for Fast and the Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. It was also London for the 1998 film Austin Powers and the Spy Who Shagged Me. And the way that we do that is we'll add the red phone booths, double-decker buses, and then anything else that we need to signify that we're in London. And for Fast and the Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, we filmed part of a car chase right here on this street. And then we finished that car chase on site in London, and then using editing, we spliced those two things together and created one seamless scene. We've also turned it into Baltimore for the 2016 Hairspray Live, which was filmed right here on our back lot. We've also turned it into 1920s New York for Kenny Ortega's The Newsies. And for that, he rolled out cobblestone gymnastics mats. That way, the dancers could still dance, but it was still historically accurate. So we can turn our sets into any time or place that we would like them to. We dug a huge hole on the ground right there on New York Street for the Blues Brothers when we turned it into Chicago.
When the Pinto fell and you saw it land and make this big hole in the street, that was on the back lot. We dropped it from a crane. You dig like that in Chicago, not a good idea.
When people ask me, of all of the movies I've ever done, what was the most satisfying and the most fun, I've got to say Blues Brothers. We got to sing, we got to dance, got to drive, and trained with the best stunt people in the world, and got to be an actor and a writer. So it was a good piece of work.
Danny called John America's Guest because just he'd walk into anybody's house.
During the shooting of the movie, John was missing. We couldn't find him.
Danny went off looking for him. He saw a light on in this one house and knocked on the door.
I said, sir, we're doing a movie down here. We're looking for one of our actors. Oh, John, yeah, he's on my couch. He came in, he had a snack a couple hours ago. He's sleeping. He was America's Guest. I mean, literally that happened.
Now, a lot of the sets that we have down here, especially on our Metropolitan Sets, can also be turned into small towns, like our Brownstone Street and our Courthouse Square. And Brownstone Street was used in The Lady Sings the Blues, starring Billy D. Williams and Diana Ross. It was also used in The Women of, I can't even remember what it's called now, Brewster Place. But it was also where Bruce lived from Bruce Almighty.
Raise the dog!
I'm in the shower!
Inside bad, outside good. Inside
And
bad.
right here you can see New York Street in the background.
Oh, you're done now. Great. Beautiful.
And that building behind him, the Brownstone building, was also used in Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. That's where Kevin McAllister dropped the bricks onto the sticky bandits from the roof. And a fun fact about that movie is that Macaulay Culkin wasn't 18 yet when he filmed it, obviously. And here in Hollywood, you cannot film after a certain time if you're not over 18. So in order to get all of those night scenes, they had to turn this area into nighttime in the middle of the day, and that's called shooting day for night, which we do often here in Hollywood. You can see here the sunlight coming through the tarps. We'll put tarps over the buildings, cover everything up, and then we have holes in the ground that actually open up so you can plug in street lights and things like that to make it look like it's nighttime.
Nice place, huh?
Found something.
Now, all of that is possible because of the art direction and the set designing. The set designer and the art director will come together and figure out what the time and place needs to be, what props and set dressing they need for it, and they will change all of it. We even have our own sign shop here, so we can put signs up in the windows of these buildings and change them into any store or restaurant that we might need them to. But we're going to say goodbye to the concrete jungle now and say hello to the actual jungle. Here's my friend, Mr. Peter Jackson.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. Action! I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up in adventure. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it's great to have you along for the ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, but just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
That's correct, and I want to remind everybody to remain seated and pull that red emergency cord if you need any assistance. And make sure you keep all of your belongings because King Kong loves to grab shiny stuff.
We really put a lot of thought into the character and personality of Kong, and he's so much more than a monster. In fact, he's not a monster. He is an incredibly majestic, ancient creature. He's a force of nature. He's old, he's wise, he's proud, he's fierce, and obviously he has a heart. The most important feature with Kong are his eyes. Kong's eyes are wonderfully expressive. They're full of emotion. His eyes are like a window into his personality and his heart. He's had an enormous number of encounters with his foes, the T-Rexes and the various dinosaurs on Skull Island, so he's been beaten up, scarred, chewed up, spat out by these dinosaurs at various times, and he wears the scars of a lot of ancient battles.
Oh, they're waiting for that to happen.
The island. Nobody's been here for hundreds of years. It's so true.
360 3D. That epic battle was brought to you by the folks at Weta FX and projected on some of the world's largest 3D screens at 40 feet tall and 180 feet wide. The team at Weta FX actually has 6 Academy Awards, and they brought us movies like King Kong, The Jungle Book, War for the Planet of the Apes, The Avengers Infinity War, The Lord of the Rings, and the Hobbit trilogies. And if you're a child of the 90s like me and you loved Hercules and Xena Warrior Princess, they even created some of the monsters on both of those shows.
With a project like the Studio Tour, the audience is in the middle of the environment. They're looking in all directions, there's creatures coming at them, they're seeing Kong from this side and T-Rexes from the other side.
Working on a movie, we always know where people are looking. They're looking straight ahead, they're looking at the shot that we're working on.
Here you have to take into account that people are looking in all directions.
Also, one of the things about this ride, unlike the movies that we're used to working on, there's no cuts, because it's one giant shot. This tram that's driving along through Skull Island is where the camera's from. This ring represents where the screen is 10 meters away.
We're really creating about 50 minutes of a feature film. That amount of visual information, that number of pixels, and presenting them to the audience, it's a hell of a ride.
Now you might have noticed during that experience that one of our tram cars was pulled onto screen, and when that happened, our tram became what is called a picture car. Now a picture car is any vehicle you see on screen. It can get our characters to and from a location, or used just strictly as props to denote time and place. So if you look to your left-hand side, you'll see some of our picture cars here. Up first, we have our Ford Cobra Kid car from the Knight Rider reboot. Then we have our Magnum PI Faux-Rari. She's a Faux-Rari because she's got the body of a Ferrari, but the heart of a Volkswagen. And we also have cars from the distant, distant future of 2015. Those are our cars from Back to the Future 2. And even cars from the distant past. Our Flintstones cars here are made out of fiberglass and foam rubber, and they're actually foot-powered because back in those days, gasoline was still dinosaurs. We have a lot of cars from the Fast and Furious franchise, like the Nissan Skyline, which was Paul Walker's car from the second film. But my favorite new addition is the Crawdaddy from Jordan Peele's Us. I love a good horror movie. And this is where Winston Duke fought his doppelganger. And last but not least, we have our Bradley Infantry fighting vehicle. Now this thing may look tough, and I assure you, it still just looks tough, because if you took this into battle, you would be just as flat as the plywood it is made out of. It's made out of pressed plywood and painted to look like metal, and that's because it's easier to transport, easier to destroy, and cheaper to rebuild. You might have also noticed that we have cars from the Jurassic World and the Jurassic Park series back there, like the gyrosphere. But you might have also noticed that the glass was missing, and that's because we don't want to cook our actors inside cars, but also it would take you out of the movie if you had to also watch the cameraman run from a bunch of dinosaurs. So we added all of the glass on those cars in post-production using CGI or computer-generated images. But another reason that we have those cars is because we are here at an island off the coast of Costa Rica, and my friend Dr. John Hammond is here to welcome you.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Thanks, John. That's all he wanted to say. Here we are. If you look to the right and left-hand sides of the tram, you'll see that we have actual props and picture cars from the original trilogy, like the mobile lab unit here on the left-hand side. This is also made out of pressed plywood and painted to look like metal. It's from the Lost World Jurassic Park, starring Julianne Moore and Vince Vaughn. And this is also where we keep all of our extra dinosaurs. I don't know where they are, but oh no. I'm so sorry, everybody. I forgot to lock the cage again. I'm sorry, I'm a Sagittarius. I don't have any follow-through. I keep forgetting to lock the cage. But look, they didn't run away. They're just, practicing their spit takes. They're very diligent actors. Now, a very important part of those movies is the weather. The first time we see the T-Rex on screen, it's raining. Here's what it looks like in those movies. We have to create rain often. Now, this is the mobile lab unit that we just passed. But this mountain is not a mountain. This is actually our Abbott and Costello parking garage. We passed it over by stage 14. We dressed it up to look like a mountain and then dangled the mobile lab unit off the side of it. Now, like I said, we usually have to create the weather that we want for the movies because she's a diva. She doesn't do what we want her to do. If we want it to be hot, it's going to be cold. If we want it to rain, it's going to be dry. So, in just a moment, we'll be heading into Old Mexico for the Festival of the Rain, where we're going to show you just how we create rain for the movies. As we enter, the first thing you're going to hear is some thunder sounds. Usually that's added in post-production, but for the purposes of our demonstration, we'll have it for you here. And rain is notoriously hard to see on screen, so we usually film it at night. That way we can light it with car lights and street lights, flashlights, or even strobe lights to look like lightning, like we have mounted here on the tops of these buildings. Then we use a very futuristic and scientific technology called sprinklers to shoot the water up into the air and have it fall to the ground naturally thanks to gravity. Now, on our opening day of March 15th, 1915, our founder, Mr. Carl Laemmle, tried to do a similar demonstration for his guests, but unfortunately it was the past and he didn't have as good a hold on it as he thought, so he accidentally created a flash flood, and he flooded the sets and the guests. They went home soggy, they were fine, but we've come a long way in our 107 years, so I don't think we have to worry about this, but I'll just turn this water off. It's not working. Oh no. Oh, I'm so sorry. I created another flash flood. I'm not sorry. Ha ha ha. That's a mechanical effect that is a result of thousands of gallons of water rushing down that hill, and it's going to go right back up to be recycled and splash the next tram. And we've used it in music videos like Lady Gaga's Judas, and in movies like Big Fat Liar starring Paul Giamatti, Frankie Muniz, and Amanda Bynes.
You can't outrun the wolf, kid! Yeah, we'll see about that. Hey, you're a funny monster!
Now we are saying adios to Old Mexico and howdy to 6 Points. These are our Western sets, and they're some of our oldest sets on the lot. 6 Points got its name from its 6 distinct Western streets. Back in the days of our silent film era, these streets were dressed up like their own individual town. And we could film up to 6 different films at once, and we often did, which is why Universal Studios has filmed more Westerns than any other studio in the world. And most recently, this area was seen in Quentin Tarantino's 9th film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and in the Peacock Limited series, Angeline. And in that episode, somebody decides to jump off the tram, which reminds me, our tour is now approximately at the halfway mark, so I just want to remind everybody to stay seated during the entire tour. The studio is private property, and if you drop your phone or you just can't wait to use the restroom, pull that cord to get my attention and we'll be back to assist you, but do remain seated on the tram. Now, this area that we're exiting out to is called Park Lake. It's not just a scenic lake, it was used in Hacks and in NBC's The Good Place. This is where Paul Robeson sang Old Man River for the 1936 film Showboat, which was directed by James Whale. And in 1954, James Whale came back to film The Creature from the Black Lagoon. This is in fact where the Gill Man made his debut. Now, the Gill Man isn't just the only monster that we have here at Universal Studios. In fact, from the 1930s to the 1960s, we were known as the Monster Movie Studio. So these sets that we're going to head into next are called Little Europe, and that's where all of our monsters got their start. From Dracula to Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein, to the Wolfman and the Invisible Man, and even the Mummy starring Boris Karloff and Noble Johnson, Universal Studios' first ever contracted black actor. And these sets were initially created for our first ever Academy Award winning film, All Quiet on the Western Front. It was turned into Paris and Germany for that set, for that film. And I know what y'all are thinking, Hadia, we've been attacked by dinosaurs. We've experienced a flash flood. and now Monster. Surely this is a bad place. But I assure you, it's not just a bad place. This was also home to NBC's The Good Place for all 4 seasons.
You, Eleanor Shellstrop, are dead.
Cool.
This location, the afterlife, come on. I have never ever seen this. You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here. I can't risk going to the bad place.
Maybe it's not all that bad.
How can I help you?
What is the bad place like?
Well, it doesn't sound awesome.
It doesn't sound awesome, but other awesome places that we've turned this area into. We turned it into Port Royal and Tortuga for the Pirates of the Caribbean. The street we entered on was turned into Genovia for the Princess Diaries 2, The Royal Engagement. It was also turned into Paris in 2011 for the Muppets film. And that court that we just passed was turned into a storybook village for Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, starring Brandy and Paolo Montalban. That's where they sang The Sweetest Sound. We've even filmed spy films there, because why bring your entire cast and crew to Europe when you can just bring them to Little Europe here with no passport needed? My favorite story about that area, though, is the Frankenstein casting. Back when the studio was getting ready to film the movie, they asked Bela Lugosi to play the character. He was the biggest horror movie star in the world at that point.
I am Dracula.
But he said, no, I'm Dracula. I need a character that speaks. And Frankenstein did not speak. So the studio begged and begged him, and he finally agreed to do the makeup test, only if he could do his own makeup. Here he is doing his own makeup. But the character is supposed to be scary. It's supposed to be a bunch of dead bodies sewn together. And when he came out with his makeup on, he was laughed off the stage by the executives. So he decided that any extra can do it, and he ran off the stage. So they got Boris Karloff to do it, who was an extra at the time. Here he is getting his makeup done. This makeup took over 4 hours and to apply, 2 hours to remove. The costume was over 50 pounds, so he lost 20 pounds filming these movies. Now that was the reaction that Carl Laemmle thought women would have if they saw him in his makeup on the studio. So he was forced to walk with this burlap sack on his head to and from set. And unfortunately, Bela Lugosi never got his career back on track. In fact, he ended up playing bit parts in all of Boris Karloff's films. Like, he played Igor in The Son of Frankenstein, and he regretted it for the rest of his life. But other TV shows that we filmed over in Little Europe are shows like Angel, starring David Boreanaz. And speaking of David Boreanaz, we're going to go into Stage 50, where he's filmed scenes from Bones.
Look, they're sweets.
He looks very upset.
When I talked to him, said the guy died in his arms.
That's with the FBI?
FBI, yeah. We hear about the human remains.
That's him. Right over there.
You alright?
Yeah, fine.
Now we are heading into an actual hot set. That means that this is just for active filming, so just remain seated, keep a hold of your belongings. You don't want them to end up as props in whatever they're filming in here. But this is one of our only double-decker sets. On the top floor, there's a nighttime city scene, and down here is obviously a subway. And since we have our own sign shop here, we can change out all of these signs. We can turn it into like a London subway station by adding lines that say the Victoria line or the Crown line. Whoa. I think that was just a tremor. We could go south. Whoa! Okay. Oh, I think this is a big one. So grab a hold of your cell phones. I mean, your loved ones. Oh no, everybody! The roof is on fire. Earthquake felt big one. We just experienced an 8.3 magnitude earthquake, and that is another example of our many mechanical effects that we have here at Universal Studios. And we've used it in films and television shows, just like we did in that same episode of Bones.
That's so scary.
What's going on? All right, I put you all through a lot today. I'm so sorry. Floods, monsters, earthquakes, dinosaurs, what next? Who knows? But I don't think it's going to be any of those things again. So we're going to keep on going. You're going to get to see more of our picture cars. You'll get to see a partial glimpse of Colonial Street, where we filmed lots of television shows. It's closed right now for filming, which is really cool. But so we're going to keep going. Oh, Jaws is flying today. Now, Colonial Street is our street that we call Anywhere USA because we can turn it into literally anywhere, any suburban town in America, and we do that quite often. Here's some examples of what we have filmed on Colonial Street.
I thought the water was going to be on your side. This building on our right-hand side is one of our oldest practical sets. It was called the Chicken Ranch, and it's built for the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, starring Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds. And when it was built on stage 12, it was built to open up like a dollhouse. That way they could film those big dance numbers. But like I said, I'm a big fan of horror movies, so if you are as well, you might recognize it as the Firefly home from Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. Okay, thought he was coming to stop us. All right, now the street that we're traveling up now is called Nowhere USA, aka Wilderness Road, and that's because it looks like we're in the wilderness. Anytime you have a film that wants to film in the woods or in a park, you have to get a permit. But here on our 400-acre lot, you don't actually have to do that. You can film right here in these woods, and we've done that quite often. Movies like Netflix's Bird Box filmed right there in that clearing on the left-hand side. CSI has created many crime scenes here, and Fox's 911, starring Angela Bassett, flipped over a limousine right on this street, which made that a picture car. And like I said, we're going to get to see some more of our picture cars in just a moment. But first, we are now approximately 15 minutes from the end of our tour, and we'll be returning to the park shortly. So remember to pull that emergency cord if you need assistance and remain seated at all times. Now coming up first, we have our yellow hot rod from American Graffiti. That's George Lucas's first ever blockbuster before the Star Wars films. We have many cars from our Fast and the Furious franchise, like Dominic Toretto's black Dodge Charger. The Mystery Machine is here today. And two of our more shy stars back there, we've got Bumblebee and Devastator from the Transformers films. And we even have Marion Crane's car from the Psycho film. Speaking of Psycho, we're going to turn off this highway to a desolate road to two of our more iconic and historic sets, the Bates Motel and the Psycho House. We all go over where are we going to go inside? Oh, he's standing there. Oh, he's going inside.
What is she going to do? Kill us all?
We're gonna head back up this psychopath here to the Airbnb known as the Psycho House. It's hosted by Norman and his mom. They're the best hosts. You'll sleep like the dead. You won't even know that they're there. But this house was built in 1959 as just a facade, so just the front and the left sides were built. We filmed all the interior scenes on stage 16. Oh, there's Norman. Hey Norman, I have a whole tram full of people to check in. They're all yours. Oh, okay, that's not what I meant. Oh man, sorry. He did this to my last tour as well. I'm sorry. Sorry, fourth car. I'll miss you. Okay, I think he missed it. All right, good. It's weird that that house is still standing though, because we are here at the War of the World set. This is one of the largest and most extensive sets ever built, and it's a practical set. Steven Spielberg and his set designer Rick Carter thought to themselves, what if a 747 went down in a suburban neighborhood?
The airplane crash site set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around a vision of Steven.
We forget to sit down to talk about the War of the World. I thought, what if the 747 goes down right in a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Keep pressing me. Listen, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Now I'm closed. Robbie, get in. Get in.
Now that is an actual Boeing 747 that was decommissioned and sent to an airplane graveyard. We purchased it for $60,000, had it cut into pieces and shipped here overnight, and that cost us $250,000, which just proves to you that that's where they get you with the shipping and handling. Now Universal Studios has been fortunate to work with generation-defining directors like Steven Spielberg and Alfred Hitchcock, and we are thrilled to have partnered with Academy Award winner Jordan Peele. So in just a moment, you're going to get to go inside the actual sets, Jupiter's Claim of Nope from his new sci-fi thriller, starring Daniel Kaluuya, Keke Palmer, and Steven Yeun, jeez. But here is Mr. Jordan Peele to tell you about it.
Movie magic only happens when a team of collaborators, often in the hundreds, work together to take an impossible notion and bring it to life. This is Jupiter's Claim, a nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former child star Ricky Jupe Park. Over there, look into the winking well and have your picture taken just like the kids in that old 90s movie Kid Show. That's what this whole place is loosely based on. Remember that one? No? Well, I do. A little further down, you can see the brand new Star Lasso experience. Built to showcase an unbelievable new live show. Well, it's not looking so live anymore. Anyway, behind this Hollywood fantasy of a gold rush frontier town lies a sinister secret. Welcome to the world of Nope.
Yeah, I think we're gonna take his advice and get out. Oh man. I'm glad we had you here, Jonathan, to get us out of there. Alright, I'm done with my dad jokes. Or am I? Now this area that we're in now is called Falls Lake. If you look back there, you'll see There's a blue screen. That's the largest freestanding backdrop in all of Hollywood. And what we do in this area is we will build a practical set like Jupiter's Claim or like the War of the Worlds set, and then we will film in the foreground, and then using that blue screen, cut out around it using a technique called chroma keying, we will digitally add in the background. We did that for Sully, starring Tom Hanks.
Evacuate.
Now, as you can see, that boat, the plane, those people, the water, that's all real. The water is real because we have a basin in front of that blue screen that we can fill with 2.7 million gallons of water. But that New Jersey skyline is not. We added that in post-production. Now, my friends, we are at the end of our tour, unfortunately. But I want to thank you all for being with us today on the Universal Studios tour. And to our annual pass holders, I want to thank you for being with us today. And if you're not an annual pass holder, you can head to the Universal box office or any of our upgrade kiosks to find out how you can upgrade your ticket from today into an annual pass, and that way you can come back and visit us again and again. And don't forget to download the Universal Studios Hollywood app. That way you can check out wait times for your favorite attractions like Waterworld and Live Seaboard Spectacular or the Special Effects Show. You can join the virtual queue for our newest attraction, The Secret Life of Pets Off the Leash, and you can confirm that the park does close tonight at 10 p.m. And if you would like to purchase any of the NBC Universal titles you've seen here today, you can visit uphe.com for more information or head to our retail stores. Now, I want you all to give Jonathan a round of applause for getting us out of all those sticky situations I got us into. I'm so sorry that you had to do that. And I want you all to have a tramtastic day. But first, on behalf of myself and Jonathan, our driver, I want to thank you for being here at the world-famous studio tour and visiting us at Universal Studios Hollywood, the entertainment capital of LA. But like I said, have a tramtastic day.
I can't believe it. We've made it to the end of our tour, you guys. How about
Hadia
and
Jonathan?
Weren't they the best? Hey, before we go, I'd like to sing you a little song I made up when I was just 5 years old. It's called Tram Castle. We had a real good time together. Now the ride is done.
Yeah.
We saw some crazy cool stuff, and we had a lot of fun.
Okay.
This tram has made its final stop. Don't be sad and blue, cause there's still one more thing that I'd like to say to you. Have a tram-tastic day. Have a tram-tastic night. Watch your step as you exit the tram, and everything will be alright. Come on, have a tram-tastic day. Have a tram-tastic night. Watch your step as you exit the tram, and everything will be alright.
Just the dads. Just the moms. Just Jaws. Best voice in the whole park.
Okay, have a tram-tastic day.
Now don't forget to drop your 3D glasses in those bins as you exit, and make sure you have all of your belongings, and watch your arms and legs and your step as the studio tour ambassadors open up these gates.
Thank you for coming to the Universal Tour, everybody. Get home safe.
Thank you guys. Have a great day.